show last night.
You ain't got to lie. 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 Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back yet again to the UPL. I am Ravishing Gravis, the most ravishing man on the internet. Joined here by myself yet again, our main man, Eric Deslux Beltran. And of course, as always, there's a new day, so we have a new guest and a new face for this season. We do have the most sussy baka alive, Mr. Brandon Collimer.
Love you too, Ravish.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's, you know what? I had many different options of what to choose from, but I found one that I think represents you the most. So there you are. You're welcome. Bow down to you, sir. I know you control all the events everywhere around the entire world. Now, with that being said, let's get into our day for today. Eric, who are we watching?
We are watching Grandview University versus what was formerly known as AOE Dinka Looking for Girlfriend, now AOE Dream. Same team, same squad. Nothing's really changed here. You know, Grandview University, last performance we saw come out of them, coming out from HughFest, AOE Dream. 3 of their members coming out of AOE's main roster, finishing second in the EGL, having a pretty decent performance when it came to Proving Grounds. But yeah, 2 hot teams looking to face off right now.
And I believe Looking for Girlfriend truly is the dream, so I like that they still have adopted the same moniker. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's at the end of the day, it's still the same spirit for coming out of them. And Colin, like, I know you've seen many of these guys in and out, though, but specifically one and on GVU, give me a little bit of an overview of what they look like going into this collegiate season and maybe even the UPL season in general.
Yeah, so GVU I think is one of the collegiate programs this year that can really overperform compared to people's expectations. I mean, the roster full of a ton of young players that people may not necessarily know of. Mezzo played in I think AOE Dawn last year for UPL. He's also played in a couple amateur teams, both solo lane, I think 800 LP challenger on both roles. Really talented young player. Eric Ziyang, one of the Yang family, if anyone knows them. All great players. Eric is really talented as well. Significantly younger. I think he's 16 or I think he's 17 at this point. But both really insanely aggressive players with high skill cap. Rest of the roster also really solid as well. So I think that they have a really good chance of making top 32 this year and actually making a run. It just kind of depends on how the scene develops over time.
I just want to pull up something from their bot lane as well before we leave Grandview, because I like how wholesome their bot lane has been thus far. Just pulling up some of the tweets that I've seen from these guys. You know, you get the caffeine buff coming straight from your support. 10-game winning streak coming out of the ADC right now. It's looking beautiful for him, but we're not done here. Hey. They rise together. They also fall together. We got tweets like this coming out of both of them, so I'm loving what I'm seeing from them.
I highly recommend that you do not check out anyone on that team's Twitter because they are all down horrendous. So no.
Nah, man, I don't know. They sound like
that includes Coach Dreher. I'm not letting Dreher
off. You know, from seeing all of Dreher's tweet, he seems like a wonderful human being. And I'll leave it at that. Nonetheless,
he's a good dude.
Oh, I bet. No, on the back end of it though, I do also want to say, anybody who watches Squid Game and is a fan of it, if y'all don't know, that final tweet was screen cap from Squid Game episode 6 specifically. So if y'all haven't watched it, do it. Do yourself a favor. It's an absolutely wonderful time, and watching it is an absolute pleasure. But on the other end, another team that are watching this absolute pleasure, Eric, that's AOE Dream.
Yeah, AOE Dream. We've already seen them perform before. We saw some blunders out of them that happened last week with Winthrop's V team. Collimer, I know you kind of are itching to rip into this one a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it rip in, but that roster is probably top 3 in terms of like the most talented rosters on paper in all of UPL. You can't be dropping Series 2 to Winthrop's B team. Like, I seen Winthrop's A team, they had a little bit to be desired. I watched the series last week, I think it was. And yeah, I mean, that roster top down is extremely talented. You have Lean K, who I think is one of the most underrated junglers in the entire North American amateur scene. I know he had an offer for Academy, and hopefully he gets back there this year. Dark Wings obviously is like the prodigy mid laner that everyone likes to have. Like, him and Bradley are the main 2. Sketch Dreams is insanely talented. Dinka is also very good. Zyko as well. You have Shia, who of course is I used to coach with him back on Empyrean. So I think that roster is insanely good. Like, top down, there's not really like a weakness that you can pinpoint. But yeah, I think this week they should really look to step back because last week that was kind of unacceptable for a team this good, and so hopefully they bounce back this week.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, it's there's a key word you mentioned there, which is there's a lot to be desired. And I find with some of the matches we've seen between some of these teams, like, yeah, that most definitely is the case here, though. But I find the first couple of weeks, people are just settling in, letting the dust go on, and teams are coming together as a whole, right? Which I'm thinking by this week, we should see a slow ramp up for the overall camaraderie that we expect out of all the teams here in the UPL. So let's break down what we also expect to see in terms of the match of the column. Sticking with you on this one, what are you expecting to see out of it? And maybe give us your predictions on the way.
Yeah, so I think the most important part for this match is really going to be the mid jungle synergy between either duo, Lean K and Darkwings, and Eric Z Yang and Meslo. I think on paper, Lean K and Darkwings are just more talented. Like, frankly, no offense to Eric and Meslo, both those guys are great, but these are two of the most talented players that we have in amateur, especially Lean K. Again, like I said, very underrated. So it's really going to be up to GVU in order to match the jungle pressure there. Lean K is extremely aggressive, obviously known for his Graves, his Kindred, even his Kane a bit. Darkwings also is just very well rounded, but doesn't make that many mistakes. So I really want to pay attention to GVU's mid and jungle this series. Meslo and Eric Zing both can be extremely aggressive. So they're basically going to live or die, I think, by whether they're going to be able to generate advantages off of that aggression between those two, or if that's going to be what ends up making them fall behind in the early game. And obviously this roster, it's a collegiate roster, so they have more time to work together. They spend more time with each other than standard amateur players. So if that happens, you want to see them be able to bounce back and build some camaraderie off that. But I think if Lean K and Darkwings get ahead and they're able to get an advantage over their opponents, it's going to be really hard for GVU to win this series. So I think Dream's going to 2-0 it. I like GVU. I like all the guys there. Hung out with all of them at QFest. They're all great people. I just think Dream is literally a top 2 talented roster in the entire league. And I don't know what happened last week. I don't expect it to happen again. So I think GVU will be really, really good, but I think they need some more time to develop, and I think Dream takes it 2-0.
Yeah, and given that we got to wrap this up real quick, I am just going to put mine out there as well. 2-0 to Dreams. I think last week was a blunder. They should be performing well now. Can't afford too many blunders. I would like to see Grandview show up to this one, because starting 0-3 in a tournament like this when we are reaching the halfway point is going to be pretty damning for them to have to come back. But this is a rough opponent right here. AOE Dreams 2-0.
Respect to you all on that. And you know what? I am always one to root for the other side. So consider y'all both got AOE. And we go for GVU. Then we go for that 2-1, though, the respectful prediction, because one of us has got to do it. Nonetheless, though, we're going to set it off to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have game 1 between these two with the beautiful voices of Beatdown Boulevard and Mad Magical.
Hello, welcome in. It is week 3 of UPL Fall Split, and we've had a lot of games that have been a lot of excitement all over the place, but we have 2 more matchups today. It's going to be AOE Dream, aka AOE Dinka looking for girlfriend beforehand, taking on GVU, who are looking for their first win of the split. I'm Mad Magical, joined in by the always lovely Beatdown. Beatdown, how you doing?
Doing great, Magical. Super amped to be here and a little bummed out about the delay we have, but we're here. We're good to go. We can get things rolling now.
Yeah, and we had a little bit of a spoiler there. We got to see the roster. We weren't
Mhm.
quite ready, but we can bring that up now so we can go into what is actually happening for the day. So there has been an emergency sub for AOE Dream. Speedo is in, Dinka is out, and unfortunately, because it's such a last-minute substitution, AOE Dream have to forfeit 1 game.
Right, and that's actually kind of a big deal too. It was really important, especially for AOE. I was talking to their coaching staff and telling me how, because of their performance last week and how important it is for them to kind of sort of redeem themselves because they're really unhappy with the loss. And they kind of share what Collimer was saying on the desk about losing to Winthrop's B team is not a great look because AOE Dream, of course, they have one of the better rosters here in UPL as a whole, not just their group.
Yeah, it was a big upset. I mean, even you and I were really shocked about the result that
Yeah.
happened last week. We were expecting it to, I was expecting it to be somewhat of a close series, but everyone was saying 2-0 for AOE Dream, and it ended up being the exact reverse of that. So going into this week, AOE Dream would hope that everything is going to be better, that they've been working together, as you said, actually not just having 2 different perspectives and different point of views from all the players. They're all one unit. But when you have to have an emergency sub like this, it can leave a lot to be desired.
Right, and to be fair, like we saw now who's going to be playing it is Speedo. So
Right,
I
an
think
insanely good player.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he'll end up slotting in pretty well, especially if you put him on a more reserved pick, like a tank in the top lane, just so it's easier for him to kind of fit on the day. I think it's still a pretty good chance here for AOE Dream. They're still just going to have to win 2 games in a row. And of course, backs are against the wall like now because they did have to forfeit game 1. Technically, we will be going into game 2 with an advantage for Grandview.
Right.
And they definitely have something to prove to themselves as well. Like you said, they haven't won a game yet this split, and they are looking to turn themselves around. I talked to Dre here, and they were telling me how important it is for them to just work on their own game, figure out their own team identity, which seems to be a very common thing talking to a lot of teams in UPL. Because to be fair, school just started about a month ago. A lot of these rosters are just recently been retooled, just recently been put together as a whole. So it is a very expected narrative point to see from a lot of these teams. And I'm interested to see what GVU are going to do today.
Yeah, same here. And especially because this is going to be 11-20, which means Vex is enabled. And I have been playing a lot of Vex. I actually really love this champion. Some team that I played against recently in a certain showdown wouldn't let me play it. Beatdown.
Hey, I wasn't the one picking and banning. That was you take that up with Joe.
Yeah, I was very upset by that. I really, really wanted to play Vex, and then it got banned away, and I was upset by that. But speaking of Vex,
you didn't even know Vex was allowed.
You didn't? Oh, wait,
no, you didn't know Vex was allowed. I swear.
No, I knew. I'd been practicing. I'd been practicing Vex. I'd been practicing Vex a bunch. Been like, all right, I'm gonna get used to this, but not gonna have the Vex as the first ban. It is still going to be LeBlanc, something that has been terrorizing all of season 11 for quite a long stint, and even seeing some changes that have been attempted towards her hasn't really done much to actually dissuade people from picking her.
No, even on this patch, I think she's still a good pick. Something you're perfectly fine to get rid of on AOE Dream side. And at this point, we're going to see, we'll probably see the mid pool get pinched out a little bit more. I say that as Tristana gets locked in. To be fair, could be mid, could be bot. That sounds like a real specific ban in general. I know it's something Sketch is actually quite good with, so it's probably not something you want to put in his hands.
And that's exactly who I was expecting it. Like, Darkwings, I wouldn't put it past him to be able to play that. But that seems far more like a Sketch Dream sort of ban, especially when you look over towards Worlds, you look over towards how a lot of people have been playing 11-19. Tristana actually has risen quite a lot in priority, where before, she had been really good at the very beginning of Season 11. That had a lot of nerfs to her to take her out of mid lane, take her out of bot lane, but now slowly she's been getting herself back into that position of power.
Right, and we're seeing again just more kind of specific bans coming through. I'm pretty sure Meslo is the one that one's targeted at. I'm pretty
Echo,
sure he
yeah.
plays the Echo, and it's just something that they really don't want to see. You could be setting up for like one of the more immobile mage mid laners coming through, like maybe Syndra, maybe Orianna or something like that, because Echo does end up doing pretty well. And I know those are champs that we've seen Darkwings play a lot of this year, even as early as like Spring Proving Grounds when he played for Zeus.
Yeah, as Kindred is going to be banned, we're seeing a good amount of the marksman taken away, even though we expect that to be for Link. That is something that has been slightly flexed into the bot lane. I always find it really funny whenever I see Kindred make their way into the bot lane and how they're going to perform there, because it's such a specific comp that's needed. But Lucian isn't. Lucian is something that has been an amazing champion with the change that he got to his passive, especially when you pair it up with the Nami lane, with how much power those two have together. People have been looking over towards Misfortune and Amumu, but I'd argue Lucian Nami far more powerful.
Yeah, Lucian Nami is like hard curb stomp bottom lane pick. And it makes sense that you just want to be giving that away, especially because it's something solid you can get for yourselves on R1, R2. They don't want to see it. AOE, they're not interested. The Irelia ban is interesting because I think that sets up a Rise pick pretty nicely for the side of AOE, or they could go for the Tryndamere. Oh my god, they're just going to straight send it.
All right, this is something that had been talked about a lot leading up to Worlds. Everyone's like, oh, look, Tryndamere. Tryndamere is being spammed. Look at mid lane Tryndamere. And here we go. Darkwings piloting that. Darkwings is such a fascinating player because back in the day, you know, Katarina player way in the beginning of his early career, back when he was first climbing the ranks. Now to see the evolution of this player, being able to play all the mages, Aurelia, you see the ban already of the Aurelia towards him, and now Tryndamere. I want to see how this Tryndamere in Darkwing's hand is going to be able to go toe-to-toe against Meslo.
It will be interesting. I'm curious to see what he's going to play. From what I understand, like the main way, the only real way to kind of deal with this Tryndamere is just shut him down, like hard stomp him in the earlier parts of the game, set him so far back
AP
behind.
Tristana, but the Tristana has been banned.
Kinda, yeah. You don't want them to get items either way, so I guess that's a comparison you could draw. You're really testing me here, Magical.
I am.
Oh god. But the point is, yeah, once you get those 2 crit items, that's when he really becomes such a menace. Tryndamere, that is. So that is kind of the point you want to delay as long as you can here, and we're gonna see more picks come through. The Lilia, I kind of like. Flex pick. I think she's really great in both jungle and top, so that's a good pickup for GBU.
Yeah, I actually really like seeing Lilia top lane personally. I think the jungle is perfectly fine, but in top lane, in certain matchups, I mean, even to things like Tryndamere, how much you're able to kite people back and away and be able to delay, but it's a great champion into something like Tryndamere that only has a certain window of that invulnerability of not being able to die.
True, a lot of CC, a lot of speed when you start stacking up those Prance stacks, so it does make a lot of sense just in general there. I don't think we'll see it go mid. There's a chance that it's probably just going to be top or jungle, but it is still good to deal with them either way here. And seeing the Ezreal one is interesting. It just seems to be that common answer into Misfortune because, I mean, realistically, even though MF's laning phase is good and Ezreal's is not, Ezreal just scales so hard. 2-3 items, absolutely disgusting champion. You're completely fine, like losing out in lane, losing out on that bot prio early on, as long as you can get it elsewhere.
But I want to ask you really quick, is that Leona pickup for Pluto in the bot lane? Amumu is what I expected because we've been seeing Misfortune Amumu as one of those quintessential bot lane matchups. But instead here it's Leona, and it's into Rakan too.
I think either one are fine into Rakan personally because you can really punish him when he goes in with all the CC you just have built into your kit. I think Leona is good, just as good as Amumu. So I think she offers a similarly strong laning phase and just as good as teamfight later on. Whereas Amumu, you need a little follow-up after his CC. But Leona, she just sets herself up, man. It's all her entire kit. She is just a one-woman CCing army.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. So Zenith Blade overrides the Grand Entrance knockup, right? But does Bandage Toss override that? I don't think it does.
Does it over?
Like, as in,
I
you know,
think it
when
does.
you can use the stun so that
because
way
basically you stop the animation and you don't get knocked up until the animation finishes. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, see, that's that's one of those things I actually genuinely just didn't know. Even though I played a Mumu support a ton back in the day, well before anyone else even thought about it, and I like to pester Christy Ender Frierson plenty about that and be like, hey, who did this? Who did this? And he doesn't like to admit it was me because, granted, the thing that actually made him good as a support is the double bandage toss.
Yep.
But at least, but the thing is, I have it. I have it in my back pocket where it's like I played it well before that. And I also do want to bring up the fact that I don't think we'll see a Mumu anymore on 1120 because I did remember that we have, what is it? It's now a flat and 70 mana cost now for each bandage toss, which means that if he throws 2 out, he's completely out of mana early game.
Oh, that is a good point. I actually forgot about that. So
yeah, same here. I just remembered it right now.
Makes even more sense to just completely kind of remove him. I think he was going to fall off. Like, I think in Worlds when we go to groups, you're going to see less of him as it is. It's not doing very well, even at the highest levels of play too. So it makes sense that teams are just going back to what they know with the other support picks like the Leona, like the Ezreal. The Tahm Kench is interesting. It means that Lilia's probably going jungle, and you're giving Meslo that last pick in the mid lane here to deal with Darkwings.
But this is where I'm going to ask you. Might it be that Tahm Kench is actually meant to go in mid lane against Tryndamere?
That could work too. You could technically, I think you could technically run that because he'd be so difficult for Trynd to be able to kill and even push out. That could be interesting.
I just thought of that. I'm like, because I've heard some people talk about Tahm Kench into Tryndamere specifically, and think back to Blaze Hall of playing the Tahm Kench mid lane just to neutralize matchups like Aurelia, something that's melee and wants to be able to try to bully. You're Tahm Kench. You got the thick skin. You're just going to be able to eat up all that damage, so it doesn't really matter. You're not really going to be impacted by that, and this final pick will determine exactly what's going to happen, whether it's going to be Eric Z Gang on that Lilia. Do we get the mid lane Tahm Kench? Especially because with all the melees on the side of AOE Dream, that is going to work beautifully for that Sejuani.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, so yeah, it will more than likely be Tryndamere mid because you could play Gwen top and mid as well. So it's likely going to be Gwen up in the top side there, which is going to be laning against the Tahm Kench, which is going to be a little tough because Gwen early on isn't too strong anyways. Oh, wait, no, Meslo plays Riven mid though, so I actually think that's Meslo. Yep, there it is. We've got confirmation that it is Meslo's Riven.
Oh, baby, into Tryndamere too. So, V-Town, this is really going to test your knowledge because I don't know this matchup too well. I don't really play too much Tryndamere nor Riven. So give me the layout of the land. How is this going to go?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't see enough Riven to be able to give you like a concrete answer. The way I picture this one going in my mind though, is that I feel like, especially as time goes on, this is gonna be good for Riven because once she gets more CDR, once she gets the ability to just spam, constantly use a lot of abilities, the shield, the stun, etc., I feel like she'd win out in a lot of these mid-late game trades. So when it comes to side laning, I do like that option there for Meslo, and overall it seems like you have answers to the split pushers that AOE Dreams are running here, because you're not trying to team fight when you pick something like Tryndamere. You're going to run Ghost. It is going to be about running people down if they try to 1v1 you past a certain point, and it's also just about the macro plays, being able to push in these waves. If there's a big commitment to the other side of the map, it's just like solo queue. You see Tryndamere just shoving it in. Whoa, you leave him alone for a few seconds. Wait, how many turrets did he take? It's been 30 seconds.
Do you remember full AP Tryndamere back in the day where it was not exactly the no damage Tryndamere build, but it was essentially the gameplay style where you didn't ever really want to interact with anybody. You were split pushing the whole time, taking turrets every single time someone looked away?
I think that was before Season 10, which means I never saw it.
Well, what? Of course it was before Season 10.
I'm just saying. I only started playing in Season 10, so I don't know.
Wow, that's... Really? You've played that? That's how recent you started?
Yeah, it'll be like
Man,
2 years and a month.
You've gotten really good knowledge for someone who's just really started playing.
Thank you. I get very obsessed with things. It's called hyperfixating. I think I have ADHD.
Yeah, mine. I know I do in certain cases. But it's like, I was just realizing, I'm like, you know more about this game than I do. And I've been playing this back since Season 1, so... But then again, I also have to store... Oh, I don't have to. I just store useless information and keep pestering Riot about, like, hey, when do I get my AP Scion back with my point-and-click stun that does half your health and then a giant shield where it can dance on the body beforehand, pop the shield, and they die?
I actually remember that only because I think you showed me a video after telling it to me, and I hated it. I think like that's why I'm really thankful I started in season 10 because I just keep hearing about stuff like that, Deathfire Grasp, Feral Flare, League of
Oh.
Cleavers, and I just see these videos and stories. I'm like, this all sounds garbage. Why? Why
I
did
miss
anyone
those
play?
days. I miss those days. I
I'm
miss
sure you do.
Deathfire Grasp, where I could just one-shot anybody. It was great. No,
Oh,
it was beautiful.
APE. I've seen APE.
APE. Oh, I remember playing. Oh, you don't even remember how bad it used to be. You used to have a 15-to-1 ratio on his heal. So on Meditate, every 1 point of ability power that you had, you got 15 essentially for that. Yeah. So you can imagine that if you built full AP, and this and again, they've nerfed this so many times to the point where now it is how it is. But that it started at 15, then it went to 6, which is still absurd. So and
It's still cut down to 1/3, which is kind of crazy.
yeah, and now it's it's cut down even more since then because people are like, that is still disgusting. How can you have a heal that insanely ridiculous? But that's kind of what I missed about the old days. You could build anybody any which way you
The
wanted
Wild
to.
West.
The Wild West says, hopefully we'll be able to fix up where everyone's located on the side there. But we're loaded up onto game 2, not game 1, remember, because there is the penalty to AOE Dream. So GVU, all they have to do is win this game or the next, and they will declare victory over Dream.
And they have a pretty decent draft to be able to put this one together too, Alex. It's definitely basically a fan favorite of Meslo to be running that Riven in the mid lane, and it's something like he's very, very well versed on. You used to be a top laner at one point. When he takes Ignite into this matchup, he's not looking for side lane pressure or lane pressure or anything like. He's trying to kill Magical. He wants blood.
Hey, that's how I play League of Legends.
It's true. That's how you get first blooded.
No, I get first bloods sometimes, like 50% of the time.
Okay, I'll take that.
I have said this. My gameplay style, how I play, is feast or famine. I will either int immediately or I'll start winning my lane. One of the two. You just never know which one it's going to be because not even I know. That's how you keep everyone on your toes.
Well, I mean, technically, yeah, you don't know what you're going to do, neither do they. So I guess that works out just fine in a sense.
Beatdown, I'm getting back into this game.
Okay.
I actually want to bring up the keystones really quick as we see a little bit of trade in the mid lane. There are no cleanses on the side of GVU, but Sketchstreams has the cleanse, even though he's the guy who has Sejuani on his team. What's the reasoning?
I think you can kind of get away with it, especially because you have people who are going to be frontlining for you. So being able to avoid that glacial prison, I think, is more important than you bringing the cleanse in this scenario. If there was if it was like Sejuani and Leona, then I would say, okay, yeah, you need cleanse, Aaron. But I think it's fine running heal this time around. So, and plus it is nicer in lane 2 for combat when things get a little mixy, because if you look at Sketchstream, he has to take cleanse because of all the CC on GVU side. So that is a bit of lane power you lose out on.
Yep, true. Makes a lot of sense. I was just curious about that because, like you said, it's just expected when you see Sejuani, the ADC, grabbing cleanse. But if you have all this frontline, and that was the other problem I kind of had looking at GVU's draft. I like it in some regards, but with the little range it has, it can get punished like right here where you had to flash away as Meslo into Darkwing because all he does is pop Ghost, and he's already terrifying.
Yeah, and it's tough now. He really wants to shove this lane out, but it's kind of a tough position for him to be in, especially because Darkwing is doing a good job at avoiding him. This wave's actually pretty big. I don't think he wants to be fighting him at this moment here. But he's trying to bait because look who's on the way. Pluto's here. Yang is here. Like, there's a play to be made, but I think Darkwings isn't going to bite.
No, and he still has his flash available, spin to win to be able to escape any kind of dive. You already saw that Darkwings was using that spin to win to get a good trade against Meslo every single time, as we unfortunately saw, just bringing up the, not pause menu, what would you call it? The control menu in League of Legends?
No, wait, do you mean the shop?
No. Where you change your settings and stuff. We saw that popped up for a second.
I think it's just the settings.
I guess. I was just trying to think, because it's not a pause menu, because you can't pause in this game. As right now, they are looking to attempt to dive here against Meslo, against Pluto.
It's kind of crazy.
That's a little early, especially into Sejuani. I get you see Meslo being so low without flash, but that would be risky. Even if you get the kill, you're
Yeah.
probably going to both die because Pluto's just going to stun you both underneath the turret.
Absolutely. I think it's really strange for Lean K to like use up the time there to try and threaten that dive. Maybe it was for the lane shove, but I mean, regardless, Meslo wants to back anyway. So I feel like you could have just spent time going farming, maybe ganking another lane, and that's what Yang is doing here as we see him move up to the top side.
Yeah, moving up to the top side, looking to see if they can get the kill. They will be able to take first blood, even though I couldn't really see anything during this.
I'll tell you what,
Yes.
I did see a little bit of the watch out Eep come through Magical, and I'll tell you what, it does a lot of damage at level 1. But anyways, we
Yeah,
are
I was
gonna
about to say
pause
that
real
was
quick.
a trip.
All I could see in all of that was I did see the motion where Lilia is going for the W.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, I'm like, how do I play by this? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think you did fine. You said first blood. You said they
Yeah,
got the
yeah.
kill. I mean, that's basically what happened. That was the
Yeah.
play by play.
Was it though? I feel like it was
Yeah.
play. There was
Yeah,
no by play.
That's
It
true.
was just-
I guess because the
just
play was
singular.
really short, you know?
Yeah, maybe that. Okay, that's what we'll use. So it was just a
Yeah.
short play. I didn't have enough time to get the by play.
I
So,
gotcha.
anyways, looking how the game's going so far. GVU, the mid lane's not going exactly how you'd want it to. It's a
No.
Tryndamere. It is something that I mean, there's a reason why we've been seeing starting to crop up in the meta, and honestly, why I expect to see him over and over again at Worlds is that he's hard to truly punish.
hmm And that's why I think pre 6, they're going to have a pretty big problem doing so, even though that's when you want to be punishing him on the side of GVU, because you're waiting for level 6 to come through on that Lilia. You want that lilting lullaby. More options for Pluto to roam up off of these waves. So that he can try and affect the mid lane here and help Meslo in the matchup. But like I was saying too, things do get better for Meslo later on as well. You need some of the itemization to come through, some of the ability haste, so he can start using his abilities more often. That is going to be a big. That's going to offer a much bigger impact for him in this 1v1.
But I do worry because isn't the whole thing with Tryndamere, his laning phase isn't terrible, and then once he gets those 2 items, he just split pushes for days and you can't do anything, because right here, Meslo just getting punished for trying to have that trade against Darkwing.
Oh man, that was a good move from Zico there. To instead of resetting, he moves up mid with his jungler, knowing that the all-in is possible, and you end up getting a kill there. It was onto your jungler. It's not as great on the Sejuani, but still, you allow the lane shove, and because Meslo doesn't have TP, he's going to lose out on a good chunk of that wave as he walks his way back to lane.
Yeah, and now you have a CS lead for Darkwings, already getting level 6 too, so if you thought you could have these trades as Meslo into Tryndamere, now that is gone. These trades just aren't realistic anymore,
No.
and you're going to have to go to the fallback plan that you were talking about, getting these items, the ability haste, to actually be able to have somewhat of a skirmish against Tryndamere.
Right, you've already lost. You're already down like roughly 10 CS to your Meslo. So at this point, like you said, just slow things down a little bit and just focus on farming for until you can actually get some gank assist there, either from your support or your jungler. And overall, at this point, picking up the dragon is kind of what I expected GVU to be doing here. They do have this bot prio, and it's going to be pretty easy, even with Lilia's low base health, to be able to just get some help from the bot lane there to be able to secure dragon number 1. The nice thing about it going early too is that you can easily make a play on Herald.
Oh, no,
That's coming up
Meslo.
soon.
Oh no, Meslo, you're trying to go for the trade again, but look who's here. It's Zyko getting a nice knock up on top of him. He's got the ult pop, and it's going to be the kill for Darkwings instead as Yang gets that Glacial Prison, the flash away, but the follow-up underneath the turret, and it's another kill for Link K.
Oh, it's all going in favor of AOE here. The timing wasn't quite right there for Pluto to be able to join in. So a bit of a desync means GVU are going to fall even further behind here. AOE Dreams not looking to slow things down, not deterred by the fact that they're down a game due to a forfeit. They're just picking things right back up here and trying to, like they said before we go into this game, going to redeem themselves for how they performed last week. And they're doing a good job at showing us a little something different today.
And not even that showing the difference of the gameplay style itself. I think my thing that I look at when I look at this team from last week to this week for AOE Dream is the coordination between Zyko, between Link K, between Darkwings. That play mid lane, even if it was a rinse-repeat kind of situation, you could see the setup, the differences, the nuances that they had that looked far cleaner than what they showed last week.
That's true, and that's why already things are improving for both of these teams here. So I am I still think GBU aren't necessarily out of this one yet, even though they are starting to fall behind. Like, again, it's worth noting, Lean K picked up another kill here, so getting kills on your Sedge is nice, but you want to be putting these on your carries, things like Speedo, Darkwing, Sketch Dreams, etc. So, you know, as time goes on, hopefully we don't have that Cloud9 situation from earlier where your jungler is super far ahead but not in a position to actually carry the game.
Hey, no spoilers of Worlds. Not everyone has seen it.
Hey,
Even
who
if
said I was talking about
we all
Worlds? It could be LCS. I didn't specify.
That no, that's months ago.
So?
No,
So?
bad beat. Anyways, in this game, you know something that also surprises me is, so I look at Tryndamere, right? And I feel like every time, right, it's like, all right, we're gonna rework a champion. We're looking to rework a champion, right? They come back into the meta right before. It's like, I know Tryndamere is the reworks in the pipes, at least from the last time they talked about him. So it's probably quite a while off compared to what we're expecting. I think it's Shyvana next, right?
I think Udyr.
Oh, is it Udyr? Okay, I couldn't remember who was next, but Tryndamere's in that pipeline of like champions they want to look at and retool. But here we see him dominating, and I think a lot of that is due to the Gore, Drinker, Sterix, Gage meta that we're getting from a lot of these bruisers.
True, yeah. Gorginker Sterix is a very, very good combo to the point where even assassins build it.
Yeah, it's like just so many different like. Remind me again. What is exactly the build on Tryndamere? That's the build, right?
It depends on the situation. Actually, like the more common build that a lot of people go for, that you should go for, is Gale Force as your mythic item. And even when you go Gore Drinker, you don't go Sterix on Tryndamere because you want 2 crit items like as soon as you can get it.
Oh, it's right here, Frank Crew. He went in for a little bit of knockup with the Abyssal Voyage, but now he's just stunned up the flash away just to be able to survive. Gives Shelly plenty of time for a full charge onto that tier 1. Getting a lot of gold for Speedo, who might have gotten ganked early on for First Blood that we didn't really get to see or witness. But the whole entire time since then has just been farming it up, getting a lot of extra gold.
Yeah, he's earned himself a CS league because of that, and obviously the plates going through means he's even further ahead than what we can see here. It's just really important, and this is kind of what I mean. Like, putting your resources into these carries is what AOE Dream want to be doing here, and it makes a lot of sense. You already see the recall into the mythic item coming through here from Speedo. Already a big spike for Gwen. This is kind of what I was talking about here. The percentage of or the extra damage you do to the Tahm Kench is going to be a big deal because, well, once he builds that first item, it is kind of ridiculous.
That is true. I like Tahm Kench personally. I like seeing him top lane. It's just such a funny champion to see. And see how they tried to change him to make him less likely to just dominate metas. And he always comes back. Always finds a way, even if you make it so his Devour is not nearly like how it was before, the free QSS. He's still got something about him that always just brings him back.
I think this time it's just the amount of damage he does, his kit, the W being a really great engage tool. He's got a lot going for him at the moment is kind of what I'm saying here. And in these team fights, he is still going to be a pretty big factor once we get to that point here. And because GBU aren't too far behind yet, they're not exactly dead in the water, especially if they continue to stack these dragons. And you can see someone should answer that wave bot, but you can see Pluto and Aaron in the mid lane because they want to contest this mid trial so that they can walk down and pick up yet another dragon. But you got a lot of members here from both teams. We may even see top laners come through if things get a little mixy, but overall, the fight for this dragon is what's coming through, but I don't think it's one that GBU are actually going to win.
No, it looks like the priority is favoring that of AOE Dream. Even if you're calling over Meslo at the moment, you're not really set up in that perfect spot like you had been previously. Mid lane is back and forth, completely dead even between the two squads. Ezreal can always join at a moment's notice, with Link K just hanging out in the wings to scare off any of these members from GBU from even looking to engage.
Oh, and look at that. Speedo's made the walk down as well, so even if Prank wants to match, he is going to have to go for the teleport. But I think at this point, you can see GBU have been very slowly just pushed gently out of the river, and it's probably some priority that they're going to have to let go. It looks like they really want to go for it here, and since the Glacial Prism missed, it's a pretty key ultimate for some of these skirmishes and fights. It does mean that GBU could potentially look for a play. You got to imagine they're pinging that ultimate right now.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And that is even why we see GVU starting to push back a bit towards Link K. Having whiffed the Glacial Prison, it gives a lot more opportunity for GVU to confidently push up their vision, get themselves set up in a better spot to actually fight against AOE Dream. But they still have to be cautious. Frankaru is in the top lane, trying to hold onto the turret that's only got a single plate left while they're looking
Here
for
we
the plate.
go.
There's going to be the TP in. Bullet time was canceled. Sleepy time on the other side. Link Cave surviving, but Meslo's there to chase him down, slow him down, so they can get a kill for kill, jungle for jungle. Darkwing on the hunt for Pluto, taking him down. He's got a lot of health back. Meslo, he's been stunned up. He's been followed up by Speedo. Even though he got Frankaru right in the middle of everybody, he'll finally be slain. Double kill for Speedo.
Oh, an unfortunate fight here. GVU just not able to capitalize, and mostly because Darkwing
no.
spent most of his
Darkwing,
time.
he's
Oh, you
found
gotta
him.
be kidding me.
Oh, that was an easy spot. He knew that he was there, and he easily hunted him down.
Yeah, and just such a great fight coming out from AOE Dreams. They pick up their first Drake. They really start to extend this gold lead further off of picking up so many kills. And part of it is because in that fight, no one was looking at Darkwings. He was full HP, didn't have to blow the ultimate for quite a long time. And while that was happening, HP bars were falling all across the side of JVU. So even though they get the jungler in Lean K, it's just not a fight you're going to be able to win. Now, dragon stacking just got a lot harder, and I think this game overall, we're starting to see is becoming more difficult here, because unless you can get Darkwings out of your face, the rest of the team in AoE are going to dismantle you.
Well, especially because Darkwings has got 100% kill participation at the moment.
He does.
He's 205. He's got 1,000 gold lead over Meslo on this Riven, who, unfortunately for Riven, she kind of needs to be able to at least hold her own and hold even against her opponent, because Darkwings is just going to keep chasing her down, keep getting this trade of damage and forcing her underneath the turret.
Right, and this bit of aggression is because Yang is here. Lilting Lullaby isn't quite available. I think it's about to come off cooldown, but unfortunately, no play to be able to be made
Now.
here. Yeah, there you go.
There you
So Lily ult is there. Speaking of ults, here we go.
Quickness. Pluto is low already and taken down immediately by Sketch Dreams, just overextending.
Yeah, that was a nice play. Just immediately get on top there. Even landing the True Shot Barrage to kill Pluto. It just shows you like how confident and comfortable the members of AoE are. Just be able to look for these little skirmishes. They know that they can win out, and they just continue to stack this gold lead. They pick up their second Rift Herald. It's something they can use to finish off this top turret. And look, they already have so many members moving to the top side of the map just to shove Frankaru off this turret. And all Yang can do is make sure he doesn't fall.
But it's still trying to force into Tom Kent, who's pretty thick. The fight coming back, even with the needlework out and the thick skin. Here's the Lilting Lullaby to get at least one member, but now with the Catfish gone, the bullet time on the other side connecting onto nobody. Speedo is able to get a lot of damage onto Eric Yang. Krug's not going to be able to help out at all, so they have to let Speedo go.
And they weren't able to find anything there. I mean, that's 2v3 scenario. I don't really know what we're looking for here, Magical. Like, you don't have the numbers. You certainly don't have the gold or
What
the
is
power.
going on here? I mean, there's just been a fight between these two.
Oh,
With
the
ult
Wind Slash?
pop, Darkwing's taken low, not going to be able to get the slow necessary. Try to heal up with Bloodlust, but it will be a
Okay.
shutdown for Meslo.
That's a pretty big deal here. Meslo's been falling behind basically the entire game. So for him to be able to get that shutdown,
dodge there, too.
he dodges the True Shot Frost. He gets to continue farming. He may push another wave, but with his low HP. I think it's time to go personally, and he agrees with me here. But that shutdown is big. They're closing the gold gap between the mid laners, which is a really
Oh,
important point because
no.
Meslo is going to matter. I think Pluto's okay. I think he'll be fine.
He is pretty tanky, and it's two
Yeah, Sejuani,
non-damage. Yeah,
Rakan.
two non-damage dealers there. I mean, if you're going AP Rakan or AP Sejuani, maybe then. But here, again.
Oh man, I saw an AP Rakan the other day. That was crazy.
Yeah, I remember when Rakan first came out, and I played AP mid lane Rakan. And who was it? It was Ender, and it was my buddy Shigwa, who was a caster back then. They're like, "There's no way you can win this in ranked, right?" And so I'm like, "Oh, I'll play it in ranked. Don't worry." They're like, "No, you can't play on your account because you're only gold. Play it on Ender's." And I think at the time he was like high plat, and I ended up winning that game. They were mad. Yeah.
There it is. You're just
These are
you're
things
just too
I,
big
these are
brain.
things I do. These are things I do.
Just prove people wrong.
No, well, that and also just race the game.
Yeah, you're really good at that one. I think Meslo's about to get broken at the moment
Oh.
here, or maybe not.
Swirl Swirl Seed. It's because the Swirl Seed had connected onto 2 members. They had to back out, knowing Lilting Lullaby easily can block them down. They could have the follow up. I think that was a smart call coming in from AOE Dream. Don't overextend. Instead, look for a pick like this on a Pluto who's by himself, and now they have the damage dealers to take him down.
Right, and at this point you got 4 people threatening this turret. It's going to be hard for them to do anything. Looking for a big sleep. Maybe Meslo will go in.
Flash away from Sketch Dreams. They look for Sketch
Wow.
Dreams. Even though
Wait,
he had the
that
cleanse
damage?
available, didn't use
I
it.
think he does.
Link K burns down Leandries to take out the tank. The fight can come in from GVU, but they got to be careful. The healing and now the shutdown
another
over.
shutdown.
The flash in. Meslo's got Zyko, who uses the battle dance to get distance away, but Meslo wants this so bad. More flashes expended. Another one to get away.
Oh,
but
they
with
got
shutdown,
him.
Shutdown for Eric Z Gang.
That is a lot of shutdowns GVU pick up Magical, and on some very, very crucial members, Meslo and Eric Yang. To be able to get all this extra gold in their pockets is such a big deal, especially when they are already sitting on their first mythic items. It's going to allow them to catch back up, get themselves back in here. They are still down about 3,000 gold. There is still a lot of CS in favor of Darkwings, plate gold in favor of Speedo, but overall, this is the start of the way to get back into the game. You pick up your second drink as well, pretty much uncontested, and as long as Darkwings doesn't get away with any funny business, I think you're okay.
I don't think this is uncontested. They might have gotten it. Now they have to survive. Pluto going to be the target immediately.
The sacrifice.
Has the stack already there. Exactly, a worthy sacrifice. You just let the support go so everyone else can survive. Meslo took the long path, was spotted out. They've got the fear, the slow, and now underneath the turret, Darkwing can easily pop out that rage to survive.
I mean, that was a little dangerous there. He thought he was going to be able to take down Meslo, but he... at this point isn't. You're starting to see some of the ability haste come through here on Meslo's side. That second Caulfield already means those abilities are getting to some pretty short cooldown timers, especially with all the levels he's been getting for himself. So Meslo, he's going to be a bigger individual threat in the side lane now at this point, and even in these skirmishes, as long as they can get a pinpoint on Darkwings. Like I was saying, that's a big deal. Because you have a lot of frontline with things like Sejuani and
Sketch,
no.
Dashing over the wall, will be able to hold on, and
look
wow,
who's
it's
here.
Meslo. Wow, he just zoomed in for that kill.
And he didn't even have to use the flash to do it. He just queues over the wall to be able to get it done. And look at the teleport Magical. You have an opening, no Sketch Dreams for 30 seconds means it's time to make a not a desperation, but a risky play for this Baron. It's 5 versus 4. No way for Sketch Dream to join.
Speedo is able to get a control ward inside of the pit. Linke over on the other side of the wall, waiting for that perfect moment to strike. It's going to be the fight attempted. They've got the lock down, but Zyko's away. Solar Flare on Zyko. You're engaged, and they've whiffed the ult. No Glacial Prison. Meslo in the middle of everybody, getting a lot of damage back onto Link K. The Link K over the wall. Pluto, unfortunately, having the flash just to survive.
That's
Seal work not enough to be able to pick up any damage. Having to escape with Link K going the wrong way. With the tank now gone. Speedo, the next to fall with no dash to survive. Rampage for Meslo, the one that survives is the undying rage of Darkwing, but he's slowed down by the Swirl Seed, slowed down by the Leandries. Burn, baby, burn! The bloodlust barely to survive.
Oh, man, I thought he would have to blow the ultimate, but he doesn't have to use it. No Baron for GVU, but they managed to grab a lot of gold off of that turn, and that is well done on their part to be able to get themselves back in, and now they're just going to go back to farming waves Magical and focusing on setting up this next dragon play. It's going to be soul point for them if they manage to get it, and Ocean Soul will pretty much doom it for AOE Dreams. And now we take a look at the goal differences here and see how members of GVU have caught up and overtaken members of AOE, with the exception of Prankaroo, but he's a tank player, so that's okay, Magical. We don't mind that. That's still a dub.
Exactly. I was about to say, it went from a 3,000, almost 4,000 deficit for GVU to now just 1,000. And all that is between Speedo and Prankaroo.
Right.
Your tank, like you said, who gives a damn? The tank doesn't need the gold. As long as you're getting that back from Meslo, for Aaron, for Eric Z Gang, that's a huge dub.
And speaking of, Meslo looking for a 1v1 dub potentially. He's just going to walk in here and start to look for this one.
It's still a risky fight to actually fully commit towards. Even if it isn't the Gale Force build coming in from Darkwings, he's got that Essence Reaver, and having Gore Drinker on top of it with Bloodlust, you're not really going to burn down Tryndamere that quickly. You
No.
got to get some sort of grievous wounds if you actually want to do that.
That is actually going to be pretty important. We already see Pranker in the top lane running with that Bramble Vest. Wouldn't be surprised with all the auto attackers to see that Thornmail get finished very, very soon now that the Mythic is done. And now we have Meslo. No, everything's fine. We have a lot of
Just
people
gotten
here,
it
though.
back. Yeah, they just gotten it back, waiting to see if Darkwings overextends, like right there with one over the wall. Eric Z speeding his way with the prance to get nearby, the spin to win. Swirlseed did not connect on to Darkwing, so they have to fall back, but at least they're getting them a lot more gold into the right pockets.
That's right, and you are seeing the resets come through because we are just about a minute to this next dragon, and with Speedo having the spot lane pushed in, it is going to need to get shoved by somebody, especially with GVU recalling a little later. They aren't going to be able to get to that river first, so they are going to set up this vision late. This is going to be a very highly contested dragon because this with Baron still on the board. If you're AOE Dreams, you don't want this dragon to go their way. It's going to be such a precarious situation if you do. So you can see there are jungle and support holding hands, moving together to shove mid, set up vision, and just be able to keep control of this river here. Now, GVU have to try and do the same thing.
Well, if you look right now, Beatdown, most of the priority is in favor of AO Dreams. Every
Oh, yeah,
single
look at
one
that
of their
top
lanes
wave.
has been pushed in, and they're getting a lot of control. They've even got the flash away from Eric Z Yang. Darkwings was looking for a flank potential, but Pluto going to be the sacrificial lamb. We've seen this before. He's still barely alive, but unfortunately
Wilting
brings down
a
Eric
little
Z
bit?
Yang
Oh.
with him. There's a shutdown, too, but all the while, Meslo was able to get the kill on Speedo, who's caught out by Pranker in the jungle. Pranker getting a little bit of attention.
He's
coming in.
going back?
Flash in,
The
a triple
Gore Drinker.
knockup. The knockup with
Oh,
the
the
bullet time
ultimate.
combo! Link K burned down, even if Zyko was able to get a nice knockup with the grand entrance to deny Meslo to re-engage that fight. This has been turned around. They've got Darkwing.
Oh, the
no
Devour.
denying,
The
no
shield.
kills, no rage. Meslo's still in the middle.
He's
of
still
the shield.
alive.
Keeps him alive, and it's an ace for GVU.
Now that was an impressive team fight coming through from Grandview University to be able to kite them into the perfect spot in the river for Aaron to hit him with the bullet time. And just like that, it's soul point time here for GVU. They are one dragon away from the Ocean Soul. They have tied themselves in gold magical, and they're looking to take control of this game.
And see, I was even going to mention this before, but it feels like it's even better to mention it here. Lord Dominic's regard for Aaron as the second item. Link K was
Beautiful.
not ready to get burned down that quickly. He's like, I'm a tank, I'm a set 20, I'll be fine. But with a Misfortune Bolt Time full combo right on top of you, you got burned down immediately.
It was just no chance, especially when the extra damage done to you from the Leandries coming from this Lilia, her Dream Dust passive, which does max health % damage. It's just a lot of anti-tankness on the side of GVU, and they are using it very well. And now you can see how they're shifting their focus to this top side of the map, always keeping Meslo on the side where they want to be making plays. And because of that, they have this top wave shoved in. They're going to move in to push this vision line so they can try to threaten this Baron. And, I mean, they're actually in a pretty good spot at the moment here.
Yeah, exactly. And look at the gold. Even if it's minor, it's only 100 gold bouncing back and forth between the two teams. There's no gold lead for either team. Huge wins for GVU to claw themselves back into this game. Even look at Meslo, 7-3-6 on this Riven.
Insane.
Recall back in the laning phase how difficult that had been.
And what did I say? Ability haste, just to get those CDs lower is all Meslo needed. And now he has really turned it up, really starting to take control here in this game. And it's just been so big. You can see how confident in practice he is on this pick with some of the plays that he's been making so far. And it's something he loves to play in these melee matchups. So even though Trend is good right now, Meslo's Riven is just better. I will note, though, that Darkwings, once that second crit item comes through, this is a big deal for the Tryndamere. You do want that 40% crit to come through so that you are able to fill more of your rage, you do more damage overall, and I mean, that's just a big deal for this Tryndamere. So that's when potentially AOE Dreams can turn things around in these fights, but still, this is a tough spot.
A very tough spot, because I'm just looking at the item builds and looking at how these two teams are going to match up. You got the Anathema's Chains coming in from Prank Crew, and I'm wondering who that's attached to. Do you go for the Tryndamere, or I feel like you still go for Sketch Dreams here?
I think you go for. I honestly am guessing it's going to go on to Speedo because he's
Oh,
the main
really?
source of AP damage, and then you can just
Okay.
continue building armor because you can finish that Bramble Vest
good
and just
point.
finish Thornmail and just keep building armor because Speedo will do reduced damage.
Here's a hell of a fight right now. Needlework coming in, but not even able to get through the thick skin of Frankaroo. Vito with the level down, a discrepancy between the two. Has to peel back, not going to be able to get any real damage onto that turret.
No, although the shove is there, Frankaroo is just happy to keep on consuming wave after wave here, and that's led to that same XP deficit that you're talking about at the moment here. He's happy just playing that weak side. He's so difficult to dive and take down at this stage in the game. It's just easy for him to sit and shove waves while he's holding on to that teleport to join the rest of his team should they need him. And at this point, again, Baron is the play, but GVU could easily just be waiting and willing to trade it for the Dragon Soul. That's going to be coming out in a minute 30 here. That's why you see these plays being attempted mid lane. That's why you see Zyko sitting in this brush here trying to support his jungler in hopes that AoE Dreams can take control back in this game.
And if they can get a pick, that'd be huge too. But all the while, top lane, Meslo, this trade's looking far better than we remembered in the previous exchanges. Already getting the Undying Rage pop. Here's Speedo to try to trade back, but with that Death Dance completed, it's so much more difficult to actually burst through Meslo. Heals back up with Core Drinker, trying to wait it out. Looks for Darkwings, the slow comes in. Finally, snip, shut down Speedo. Mid lane gets the nice push though for GVU, so at least they can equate it across the rift.
Still, that's a big shutdown coming through for Speedo and a really clutch teleport to help out his mid laner. You do end up losing Eric Yang to, I think, a play in the mid lane as well. Yes. This is a really bad time to be losing your jungler. Luckily, it will be just before the spawn of this dragon, so GVU will still have an opportunity. But a lot of gold sitting in Speedo's pockets. Too soon for him to recall and use it, though, is the only unfortunate part.
The big thing, though, for me is even if Eric Ziang will be back up in time to contest and try to get the soul, they've lost the priority in that bottom half of the map, the top part of the map too, and the vision that has been pushed back against them, allowing a lot more angles for them to utilize and to find out members on GVU out of position.
That's true, and you can see them stacking this brush play because they are expecting GVU to shove this mid wave and go for this dragon, but they aren't. What's happening is GVU are just moving top. They know the dragon's being taken, so they want to try and threaten this Baron potentially.
Yeah, but that seems like it's risky because they aren't even in a position to deny the vision around it. Instead, they're holding out, waiting for a misstep out of AoE Dreams. We're making the smart call. They've got the dragon. No reason to play into GVU's hands. Bail out of that one. Spend some of your gold if necessary.
Yeah, nobody showed on the map so far except for Aaron and Frank. So it doesn't seem like AoE Dreams are taking the bait. They're not moving up to the Baron pit. I think actually, yeah, there is a pink ward there. And perhaps GVU don't actually realize that it's there. And that's why they haven't actually moved up there. So that's why the bush play probably didn't work. So it's just back to farming at the moment here. But I think GVU, you want to be able to pick up that next dragon because having it to this point where you are both at 3 dragons and it's going to become a much more precarious situation for them, as honestly, even though scaling on GVU is good, it's about as good, if not better, on AoE Dreams side. The longer time goes on, once that 4th item gets finished for Sketch Dreams, those Mystic shots will be like throwing bricks.
Yeah, I was even about to say that. I'm like, it feels like both times have fine scaling here into the late game. Neither team really falls off comparatively because even Aaron has built more for the crit build on Misfortune to be able to fight in this late game, to be that strong force with the rest of the team.
Right, and because of the play that got them their 3rd dragon, GVU clearly are trying to win these through really smart team fighting, and they've been really good at it so far. They just need to fight on their terms here, and if they can't get that one, if they get caught and engaged on, AoE Dreams are likely going to be able to run over them here because of the fact, again, you got a pretty tanky presence in Lean K, in Darkwings, just because of the fact that he is very difficult to kill. He has the sustain to be able to, with the Gore Drinker, the Bloodlust, like you said, to be able to get himself back into these fights. So this is extended fights aren't really going for GVU.
Oh, and And now Eric the Yang and Meslo are both on the hunt. Oh, the Swirl Seed connected. They're waiting to see if they can bait
he's
out
gone.
Undying Rage. There it is, Lilting Lullaby to make
Perfect.
sure this Rage does nothing. It is only delayed, and it's a shutdown and another couple stacks over for Eric.
That's a big deal. Darkwing's gone means you can start to threaten this Baron right away, even if you use 2 ultimates to do it. 5v4, especially when Trend is gone, is very favorable for GVU. And all they're going to do is walk up. Like, what's he going to do when he comes back? Teleport? He didn't take that summoner spell magical. He can't do that. And no True Shot Barrage means there's no hope of a long-range steal.
No, and even Ghost was used in that trade, so he can't even use that to get into the fight quicker. He's got a long time till he's respawning, and it is down to 50% on this Baron. Meslo again on the hunt for these flanks. Instead of actually going for the objective, they want the fight. They have the man advantage. They've got the Solar Flare, and the dash is away, but Speedo's in the thick of it with Psycho taking down Rampage for Aaron, and Speedo will only take 1 with them. They've got more kills, doubles up, and even getting the exchange on Sketchstream. Burning to the Ignite, burning to everything. The cleanse used just to try to survive, but they've got way too much damage that they can easily follow
the
up.
burn.
Dominating Aaron. Link K, the sole survivor with Darkwings only now respawning.
And you keep a lot of your crucial members. You can take this Baron now pretty easily here. It's going to be hard for AOE to be able to force them off. All 4 of them can turn right on the Darkwings if they really need to here. And Meslo, he's here to play interference.
He is just making sure they cannot get in the pit, and then they can re-engage the fight with the Abyssal Voice
who's
because they knock him on
here.
the Dark Wings. They've got Lilting Lullaby again. Each time Undying Rage comes out, yeah, already are put to sleep. More kills, more gold. This is looking like game for GVU as they've taken down Link K.
Oh, they've certainly got themselves in a great position, Magical. 1 minute till the Ocean Soul, and they're not even going to recall. They are going to continue pushing these waves in, taking turrets, just stacking even more gold, and because of these empowered recalls, they can technically recall, get back on the map. But we're looking at 30 seconds. Maybe they do look to just end it right here.
There's a long time till Link K and Darkwings are both up. They've got the man advantage. They've got everything here that they can push into the base. Look at how quickly these next turns have taken down. They're trying for one final fight with Eric Yang going golden, but they can't get the
Meslo's
kill.
going
Underneath the turret, healing up with the core
Oh my God.
They've got the turrets. The structures are gone. The game looks like it's in the bag, but with the low health bars, it's a miracle if you
They're
can
still
kill them all,
living.
but they couldn't do it. Game and series for GVU.
Oh, wow. An insane comeback from Grandview University off the back of a pocket pick from their mid laner, Meslo. Once formerly a top laner, known for being quite proficient at the Riven, manages to take GVU to a win tonight. Not just one game, the whole match. Just to remind everybody, because of late start and an issue regarding an E-sub for AOE Dreams, they had to forfeit game 1. And just like that, Grandview win 2-0.
Yeah, technically they won 2-0 because, like you said, the forfeit for the E-sub, but that's also what we were talking about before. It was a lot easier, a lot less pressure onto GVU. Even if they lost that game, they still had another that they could take, and if they won that one, they win the series. But they just make it an easy night for everybody. They win game 2, technically game 1 if you want to really go into that, and they are going to be your series winners. That's their first W of the season 4 series.
And I think it's a really impressive way to start things off, or rather to get things going for them. It's only up from here because, like you said, it is their first win. And I like what we're seeing here. Dreher, when I talked to him before the game, he's telling me they were looking for just getting an idea of their identity and how they want to play the game. And I got to say, barring a few missteps, GVU looked pretty solid when it comes to team coordination, understanding how they want to play. So I got to say, they look very promising going towards the rest of the split. And since top 4 are the ones who make it out of the groups and go towards the playoff bracket, I mean, they got time. I like their chances.
As do I. You know, this is just going to make the season that much more spicy. See how things are going to play out, what teams are going to make it in the playoffs, what teams aren't, because everyone going into this one, we're giving it over to AOE Dream, saying this, again, was going to be a clean series, even if they technically lost the game by the forfeit, that everyone thought they were going to win the 2 games handedly. GVU were able to show up this draft. At first, it looked a little rocky. The lane phase for Meslo didn't work out so well, but once he got a couple kills under his belt, a little bit of gold extra on top of Trendemir, that's when it all came online.
That's right. And we saw the difference coming through where the early leads just weren't, not a whole lot was really done with them on the side of AOE Dreams. They weren't actually able to convert these into any meaningful leads. And because even though they did manage to snag one dragon, for the most part, GVU did a good job of stacking towards that Ocean Soul. And because of it, even though they didn't end up getting to the Ocean Soul, it's that threat that made or that kind of forced AoE to play a certain way, to prioritize trying to fight in and around the river, not let that Ocean Soul go through, because that's the most important part of that game, not the Baron, that Dragon Soul. So even though they ended up preventing it because of how they were forced to play, things end up working out in GVU's favor.
And with just the one game win, they win the series 2-0 over AOE Dreams. We're going to toss it over to Ravish and the rest of the desk to take it away from here and close us out. So Ravish, go away. Or go away.
Thank you, Magical and the Beatdown. It's kind of mean to go away, man. I just got here, bro. But to just sum up that game, I have but one word for y'all, and it has to be just Meslo.
It was the Meslo show, Ravish. My goodness. It was a little bit of a floundered early game. We saw a lot of deaths go off, especially when his flash was down, but he had the comeback. Meslo looked good as we got into these mid-game fights.
I think looked good is genuinely an understatement, because, yo, fam, look, bro. My man was able to get off Gourd Drinker twice. And then in the middle of all that, to surviving, which is under a quarter of his health, baiting these picks back and forth. Look at this. Gets saved. Goes back in. Shields. Dodges. Boom. Bam. With Queen Q down. Heals again. Gets another kill. Unstoppable. Beatdown set to the back of a pocket pick, though. But any Riven player, worth his salt, should be able to do that any day of the week. And I think Meslo is full of sodium. But Coliver, for a little bit more of an in-depth analysis on how that game went, why don't you talk to us? Because AOE Dreams at the beginning, bro, that early game was theirs, baby.
Yeah, so I think basically as soon as Meslo blew Flash, the entire early game was kind of doomed for GVU. I think even when we were sitting in call, I said if Dreams is playing correctly, they're going to at least kill him twice before Flash is down. And they did. It literally was twice while his Flash was down, you got Riven behind. I had pointed out at the beginning or before the game started that the mid jungle was going to be the most important. Lean K and Darkwings did amazing. In the early game, they were massively ahead over their opponents in jungle and mid, and everything looked totally perfect. And then in mid-game fights, Dreams just did not kind of play. They did not execute correctly, and GVU did a really good job executing. But yeah, I mean, early game was completely in Dreams' favor. They had the Rakan, and GVU tried to answer it with a Leona. Great pairing with Misfortune, even though like a Mumu was up, and Rakan was even able to get off some pressure early. There was like 0-0-3 while Leona hadn't done anything yet. But yeah, the way that the mid-game team fights were played by Mezzo and Eric especially were insanely well done, and brought him back into the game. It was really, really well done, and I apologize for predicting 2-0 for Dream. Good job, GVU.
Yeah, like honestly, it was a situation that I find nobody really could have predicted, right? It's an unfortunate happenstance which make me look good because I said 2-1. So I mean, on to the 2-0 for GVU. Congrats to you guys. But as Beat Magical said, right, and he's coming at the last minute, right, with playing with a team that may not be able to mesh with them super well, right, and just considering it's turns out to be 0-1, you just can't kind of up in the situation. AOE Dreams did, of course, try their damnedest though. But end of the day, GVU came out the better team, offered some really cool looking plays. But Eric, did you have any closing thoughts on that or not, homie?
I mean, I'm impressed by GVU. I'm happy the fact that they are able to get a win, because we talked about this before. We're at the midway point of the season. These wins are crucial. They've been winless for so long. And this was a nice win for them over a pretty significant team in being AOE Dreams. Sub included or not, it still feels good when, you've been on such a loss streak and you take down a big name like that. And every single lane had spectacular moments where they were able to perform. I don't think they should let this win be tainted too much. It's something they should definitely take in as they continue and try and gather that momentum to make that comeback run through the UPL regular season.
100,000%, my friend. And that's what you're talking about at the beginning, right? It all has to be the journey every single team takes from here as you get from the 3 to the 4 to the 6 week mark. Playoffs are coming. Your scores matter. Every win going up from this point counts so much. And all these teams I know want to, have to, and must make it to the top of the UPL. To do so, it all starts from here, and it starts from today. But Calmer, I want to thank you for being here for the time that we were. Although time was short, I treasured every second of it, I say.
Thanks, man.
I believe we do still have an interview from GVU as well. We're talking to Meslo just a little bit. So we're going to take a minute break. When we come back, we'll hear from GVU and the team. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, with the main man, Meslo, bro. What's good with you, baby? Congrats on our series.
Hello, thank you. I'm doing good.
That's what we like to hear, bro. Okay, all right, so I'll just get you go ahead and start it off. Now, I know I was alluding to it before. Maybe you can give me some specifics. In a team fight, in your time playing Riven, you think you gotten out Gordricker like 4 times, 5 times, 6? How many times is the max times you think you gotten it off, bro?
Yeah, probably a couple tens, couple 20s, maybe a couple hundreds. Never know.
10 times in a team fight, bro?
Yeah.
You got Gordon? All right. Goddamn, respect. Eric, what you got for me?
The last time, at least on record, I've seen the Riven pick pulled out was against Boise all the way back in February. Is this sort of a pocket pick for you? Is this one of your like personal favorites just pull out of nowhere against some of these high-end teams?
Yeah, I used to be a Riven, like one trick back in the day top lane, and I think in a lot of metas she has a lot of value as a counter pick, so I like picking her a lot when it's good.
Whenever Draker lets you pick it instead of Nasus.
I have to fist fight him for it.
Understandable. It happens sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, but call him a question for Mesla.
Yeah. So obviously, like you and I have known each other a while. I kind of just wanted to get your opinion on. Do you think that you get enough credit? Because obviously, like especially for mid laners, right? Like you always hear about like Dark Wings. You always hear about Bradley. Do you get a chance to play against these guys in solo queue or in competitive often? And do you think that you're close to them or on the same level as them or anything like that? I just kind of want to get your take on it.
Uh, I don't I don't play like I haven't had a lot of competitive experience in my like time playing League, especially as a mid laner. Uh, but I think like with enough competitive experience, like some practice and competitive scene, like I think I'm up there like mechanically. I think I need some work, but I think I could. Yeah, I think I definitely am close.
Fair enough. Cool. Good answer.
I mean, that's what we like to hear. Though, and just building off of the back of that final question for you before we let you go here, homie. Is there something that people aren't saying about Meslo that needs to be shouted for the mountaintops?
Champion Ocean. I've been called a one trick. I've been called a two trick all my league career. I'll pull out anything.
You got at least 3 champions.
Oh yeah.
At least.
All right, that's what we like to hear, though, man. But any final shout-outs for you, homie?
I just want to thank my roommate, Frank. He's looking pretty cute over there.
Oh, shit.
That's pretty much it.
All right, throw the rest of the team under the bus. I like it. Nice.
Let's go.
So bot lane does not matter. I agree.
Yeah.
Shout out to Frank. Rest we like to hear. But Meslo, thank you for coming out here, homie. Congrats to you together series. And good luck with the rest of the season, man.
All right, thank you.
Peace. What a guy. Champion Ocean. Basically 3 champs coming out. I think that's more than enough to play competitive League of Legends, personally.
Hey, I am looking at that match history, and there are quite a variety of champions in here. He still does tend towards a little bit of these meta things, but he pops out some spicy stuff here and there, and I gotta agree with them. I'm looking forward for what the future has when it comes to Meslo.
100,000%. But now, with that, we've reached the end of our time here, friends, for tonight. But thank you all for watching. Colmer, is there anything you want to put out there, promote or anything, man?
No. Again, final comments of the game. GVU looking really good. I said at the beginning of the broadcast that this team going forward for CLOL, especially, I think that over time that they're going to develop, and they looked really good. And I can't wait to see them continue. And for Dream, I know they had an E-sub. I hope they turned it around because again, I think they're a top 3 roster, and they're looking like they might not make playoffs out of their group. So hopefully they turn around soon and they show what they can do with 3+ academy level talents.
100,000%. Everybody's talented. Everybody's great, especially you guys watching at home. Thank you. With that being said, we'll see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place. Eric, I hate everything you stand for. I am Ravishing Ravish, the most yavishing man on the internet. Y'all have a good night. And remember to dig your graves. Peace.